What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Unqualified Film Bros podcast. We are still reeling after an absolutely insane finish to Funky Film Reviews last week.
Uh,
Congratulations once again to our winner
Who is
we're gonna
not
and
dead
our not
but
winners.
me.
we're gonna be doing the holiday film Eyes Wide Shut.
Hey, I'm into it. I'm into it. Let's do it.
Hmm.
We are back reviewing a movie tonight. We are talking about I don't know, probably like 50th MCU project at this point.
Something like
Um,
there's a lot.
Probably up there.
it's
Yep.
it's so many. There's over 30 films now. We're talking about the Marvels, which I'll start here because I just want to say that I have a lot of superhero fatigue these days, which maybe you didn't expect of me, any of you. But I went in with absolutely zero expectations for this one, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was kind of fun.
Hmm.
So I want to start with Ben tonight because I have not heard his thoughts about this movie. I heard from Declan, I heard from Max. Ben,
Um,
get going. Take it away.
yeah,
What'd you think?
I enjoyed it. I think my favorite parts are the Kamal Khan parts and
Hmm.
dealing with their family and stuff. A lot of humor there. Um, it's fun, but it's tough. Like I feel like I enjoyed it a lot more than like Quantum Mania. It
Hmm.
was it was kind of a return to like the old formula of the MCU. But the issue is the three characters, right? You have one of them who comes from a TV show, another one that comes from a TV show. And while it's not necessary for like Monica Rambeau as much, it kind of still is because they keep showing flashbacks of like the TV show. It it's a little like the MCU is very strained by their want to like connect everything even more. I feel like before phase 4 or whatever, everything was pretty decently like separate. Like you could watch just the Captain America movies, you could watch anything, just their movies in a row, and you wouldn't really be surprised by too much. And now with this Quantum Mania, it's kind of wearing on the movies themselves, and I think this is a pretty good movie. But like I watched the TV show, so it was fine for me. But for other people, I can completely understand why it's underperforming. It's literally like random people that most people have never heard of. Miss Marvel's a new character. Monica Rambeau is not like, star power, superhero. And even Captain Marvel like has had a lot of rewriting over the years. It started out as a man. Uh, and so I feel like you needed to have a more compact movie. I like the team up and I like, the idea of switching bodies. I thought that was a fun sort of motif that they used. But I feel like after the first part where they had the whole switching fiasco, they sort of let that go.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot left that they really used. I feel like you could have used that a little bit more. But aside
The
from that,
training montage was fun.
Hmm. I did
the
enjoy
what?
it.
The training
Yeah,
montage.
yeah, training montage was great.
Hmm. I I will say in the film's defense, I was someone who prior to seeing it, I had a sense of who Kamala Khan was as a character through osmosis, but hadn't actually seen the Miss Marvel show. So I went in relatively blind, and in my opinion, I think the film did a decent job at like still like establishing her character and getting a sense of who she was. And so at least for me, I didn't feel quite like I was lost at sea or something like
Yeah, I
that.
guess it's less her character and honestly more her family. Her family
Mm.
sort of tags along in the movie. And if you don't watch the show, you're like, the fuck is going on? Who is this random family just following Nick Fury around? Because
Declan,
there's been a lot of superheroes, right? That's never happened before.
Mm.
Like
Declan,
not
24 hours ago, 24 hours ago, I gave you a task to watch at least one episode of Miss Marvel. Have you done that?
I have started one episode of Miss Marvel. I haven't.
Okay, that's
I honestly
honestly better
enjoy
than I
it.
expected.
I enjoy Miss Marvel a lot. And I really love the montage in the beginning where she's drawing everything. I like that they kept that. Obviously, they couldn't, keep that through the whole film,
Mm.
but I like that they included that.
But
There's
then they
also
added
impressive
some
ending.
more of those elements throughout the film, right? They, um, with when they were all coming together and like the screen was in three different sections, like it
Yeah, it's true.
felt more like they were kind of blending the styles of like what it is in Miss Marvel, which is great. And it's very sort of graffiti-esque. Like it's really well
It
done.
was almost like
Uh,
comic panels.
it was like comic panels. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
And
Like
Max.
like the Ang Lee Incredible Hulk.
No, that's you
That's the
see
one you go with.
there's two ends of where, and I love that I'm vertical in my window for this. There's two ends for use of comic panels in comic book movies. You've got Ang Lee's Hulk, and yeah, we'll say right here is the Marvels.
Where would Spider-Verse be beyond that? I just want to
Spider
like.
Verse is like through my ceiling right now.
Yeah.
Where would
That's-
Sin City
Don't even put the Marvels or God forbid Ang Lee's Hulk in the same conversation as either of the Spider Verse movies.
But where would Sin City be?
No comment.
Have you seen it? Oh, you have not seen it?
I've seen it. That was an interesting.
Yeah.
So, Max, what are your thoughts? Open this one up.
Yeah, it's interesting. Ben, I said something very similar to what you said early on, was that it felt like a return to early Marvel. Like sort of their formulaic, like we're gonna have a weak villain, but we're gonna bump up some of the chemistry. We're gonna like we're gonna do a decent job of either developing and further developing in this case, or introducing characters. And I think that's what made it work for me, right there. In phase one and phase two, there is connective tissue between the films, and you kind of know that it at a certain point it is building towards something. So we kind of get a little bit of that payoff in this film towards the end of the movie, but it did feel very similar to what we were getting mid phase one in some of the mid credit scenes, even in Iron Man in phase one. There's some stuff that happens sort of towards the end of the film that is very similar in sort of style, and just
I
like
mean, they go shot for shot with
yeah.
Kamala Khan
I was
recruiting Kate Bishop.
I was being friendly. But that's
It's
not to
I-
say
I
that
like
that's not to say
exact
that it
same.
was bad, right?
Yeah.
I think it works. I think it really does work. And especially because Kamala Khan kind of is like a quasi apprentice to Nick Fury. Like she loves Nick Fury, right? So she's filling that sort of similar role. And it just it made the MCU a little bit. I said this, George. It made the MCU a little bit more interesting last night. And if they can keep it going, right? They had a strong season 2 of Loki. We had Guardians 3 not too long ago. So, weren't it's not I'm not saying that the MCU is back, but that it has been recently fairly consistently like interesting. It's been there, even surrounding projects that are a little bit lacking in my opinion, like Love and Thunder and Quantumania, and even Multiverse of Madness probably didn't quite live up to the hype that some people were expecting.
So the key here is don't get excited for Marvel movies, and they will be more fun than you expect.
True.
I think we're done here. All right. Good night, everybody.
Pretty
I mean,
much.
Like
wasn't excited for a
instantly,
lot.
George. Like I'm so tired of superheroes. Kevin Feige releases another superhero film. George is like, yeah, woo!
No, but like, I think what I enjoyed so much about this movie is that, we all saw the promotional material or lack thereof, really, Because Marvel didn't really do a whole lot to promote this movie. They were like, "Hey, it's coming out in November," even though it was
That
supposed
was
to come out in
strike.
July. So go check it out when it comes out in November, because you won't have Dune Part Two. Sorry, Ben. But we get a movie that is as promised. It's kind of silly at times. The power switching, I thought it would be really, really just hokey and campy and not done well, but they explain it really well. They set it up uh in its premise really well with having Carol and Monica touching that unstable jump point and Kamala with her bangle being activated, we'll call it. So they set it up really well. They like we can easily understand how they sort of get mixed up with each other. Um, and then, a lot of the dialogue and sort of their chemistry, especially between Iman Vellani and Tiona Paris, less so with Brie Larson, and we'll talk more about her in a minute, I'm sure. But between the secondary and tertiary stars of this film, I mean, they carry every single scene. They are really, the two of them are really, really just great. Loved seeing both of them in this film, which is weird because it's a Captain Marvel sequel, and you talk about how the two of them were, Monica was shown as a kid in Captain Marvel, but she was really shown to us in WandaVision, and uh, Kamala Khan was shown to us in Miss Marvel, obviously. But seeing these characters sort of further develop beyond their origin stories in a setting like this, in a story like this, felt like, and I'm not calling this, a top 10 MCU film. I'm not calling it a top 15 or 20 MCU film.
You don't have to rank it. Don't worry.
I'm not going to, even though you can find my Letterboxd is in the description below. I do have an MCU ranking list on my Letterboxd. It's a public list, so go check it out.
He adjusts it like daily.
I adjusted it yesterday for the first time since Secret Invasion, and let me tell you, that was fun to go back and remember when I put Secret Invasion like third to last on my MCU ranking list.
Third to last.
Yeah, Thor: The Dark World and Incredible Hulk are the last two spots.
I disagree with that, but okay.
I know you do, Ben. Yeah, this was fun. It's something that I don't know if I'll see it again in a movie theater, but it's something that and at an hour 45, it'll be super rewatchable.
But plus, I do appreciate how I felt a lot of I felt there were more than a few. Sorry, most of the film set pieces I felt were also very memorable. Like the random planet where everyone sings. Like I felt
so
they did that well. In my opinion, it was like ridiculous, but I felt like in a way that felt true to comic books.
Yeah, no, I was completely okay with that. That is a very comic book thing.
Yeah.
Very silly, but yeah, I actually thought that was done pretty well. And they didn't linger there too long, so it's
yeah, exactly. It didn't wear out its welcome.
It was a good gag, and then they moved on.
But I think I really liked a lot of the stuff about this movie. I think the only thing that's really underwhelming is the villain.
Yes.
Dar-Ben is like, soy boy Ronan the Accuser, I guess.
And Ronan the Accuser
I
was
wish,
always a soy boy
I
villain.
wish Chip were here to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like they use the universal weapon, the Cosmorod, as Kamala correctly points them out. I don't know who the hell made up universal weapon in the MCU, but that's dumb. That's a really dumb name. So all the accusers get that weapon, obviously. I don't even know who Dar-Ben is. I had to look them up. I guess it was a guy in the comics who's it's great that they changed the gender because otherwise it would literally be soy pronin. I thought she did a good job with what she was given.
Yeah.
She was not given a lot.
Yeah,
It was a poorly written character.
it's
And
very one-dimensional. It doesn't make a lot of sense, especially at the end.
Mhm.
Like she literally does all of this to get 2 bands and disintegrates herself.
yeah,
Kind
When
of like
Marvel literally went and like restarted the sun after they're like, "Hey, we can do this. We can save the planet." She's like, "No, I'm gonna kill you instead." It's
Yeah,
just too
badly
cartoony,
written.
It's too cartoony. But
Badly written, but also Zoe Ashton does not give a good performance.
Mhm.
Like you can elevate a badly written role. Um,
it's really tough for me to judge
nothing's
her acting. Like it's just not a role, all right? Like nobody could do anything with that, I feel like. Um, Also, is it just me or did she look a lot like Amelia Clark in this role?
You
I
know, I
see
saw
what you're
this.
talking about. I don't fully agree, but I see what you're talking about.
I saw this with my buddy Zach uh, yesterday and Tuesday, and he said the exact same thing as we walked out. And you know, I can see it. I
It's
told him
also
yesterday.
the accent. The accent is very sim the way she speaks is very similar. Um, and I just don't just mean with the British accent, guys.
And I don't want to spoil Secret Invasion for Declan because I know he's going to be a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was just about to.
Like,
Amelia
But
Clark is in it.
after seeing Amelia Clark in that series, she could have shown up in this one, and it probably would have made sense. It would have made logical
It
sense
would
for
have made
that character
I was
it would
to
have
be.
it would have
surprised when
made
you
more
told
sense than
me
what
Secret
happened
Invasion
in
didn't actually have much to do with this.
Secret Invasion. You do not need to see Secret Invasion to understand the Marvels.
They don't even mention it. Like it's completely
No.
No,
open.
And this was a film that himself, I think, said Secret Invasion leads directly into the Marvels. And like there was nothing about it in there, basically.
no, no plot point, no
I
character, no mention.
No.
I genuinely assumed like, oh, that the scroll guy with the crown, the emperor, or whatever his name is, he must be a major character in Secret Invasion. So just
Never
Never
heard of
seen
him.
him before in my life.
Nope.
wow. I'm honestly surprised. Another reason why I gotta see Secret Invasion
Yes,
next. I
I think
mean,
I
Declan, go
really
watch
learned.
it as many times as you can, especially the last episode.
The only thing I learned is that Nick Fury is married to a Skrull.
Yes, they show that in Secret Invasion.
Um,
Let's
Yeah,
talk
it's kind of
about
the only important. There's two important things.
yes, and
And the
the
other
other
one
thing is
happens in
the
episode
information.
1. So like
oh yeah.
So let's talk about our three leads. I want to start with Brie Larson. She is the primary character here. Uh, Probably her largest MCU appearance since Captain Marvel. She was barely featured in Endgame except for at the beginning and the end. She was in the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi. She was featured as an alternate version of herself in What If, but we haven't really seen Brie Larson's Carol Danvers since Captain Marvel, at least doing what Captain Marvel does. So, what did you think of the way Captain Marvel was portrayed in this movie? What did you think of Brie Larson's performance? I want to start with Declan.
I will say this. I think the fact that it is the three of them does kind of make it all work. I feel like the Brie Larson is very like in the role as Carol Danvers is like very like stoic and like reserved, and like Kamala is like the complete opposite, and Monica is sort of somewhere in the middle, sort of pulled between the two. And I feel that general dynamic is actually like fun and enjoyable. I think if it was just all of them separate, I think no. Right. I think Brie Larson's Carol Danvers without the other two would be possibly too like would just be okay. But I feel like with them, the performances are like lifted up together through the dynamic, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think honestly, let's just talk about them all at once because I feel like that's a
Well,
lot easier.
I'll just go fuck myself then. Sorry.
I mean, they're all
No,
sort of
all
starring it
three.
together.
You're right. They're presented together. We should talk about them as a unit.
Um, so yeah, I feel like Kamala Khan's the strongest of them. She brings a lot of fun and energy, especially playing off her MCU family. But I yeah, it's tough. Brie Larson has the same issues that I sort of have with the first one. I don't know whether it's just her acting. I feel like she's not given a lot of lines to really bring this out. The cat is called Goose, as they call it in the MCU. In the comics, it's called Chewie. Now, both of these, it's supposed to be because he's the co-pilot, and Captain Marvel is obviously a pilot.
Mm.
She doesn't have. She's got the go at it alone attitude, but I feel like they kind of missed the sort of fighter pilot scoundrel like comedic side.
That was a huge part of the first movie.
Yeah, and I don't really get it, especially out of her in this movie. I feel like Kamala Khan does a lot of comedy. I feel like Monica Rambeau. I'm trying to think. She's not really a comedy. She's sort of dealing with her issues with Captain Marvel, I guess. But I guess there's enough comedy from Kamala Khan because she's frequently there with Monica Rambeau. But with Captain Marvel, she's like the star of the show, and I wish something different. I don't know whether it's her acting, honestly. Like, I feel like they could write her better lines to like bring out that side, but they didn't write her that way. And I understand their idea is like she's immortal now. She's like super powerful, but so is Thor, and Thor is plenty funny. Even in the first movies with like Kenneth Branagh. Now, granted, that is the thing that he has to sort of get over is immaturity, but he's still funny all the way through. I feel like you can do a little bit more lightheartedness. I feel like she was great, especially like in the first film, in the first part, before she got really powerful, before she got her like inhibitor chip,
Yeah,
burst away.
she's going back and forth with Fury. It's awesome. She's got that sort of, you throw it at me, I'll throw it back.
But when she gets absolutely godlike powers, she sort of just goes and blows things up and stops talking a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and you kind of get it. You kind of get the sense of why there is a little bit of a shift away from the cocksure
Yeah.
attitude that you get in the first one because
makes
she
sense.
destroyed a planet basically. But like it didn't feel like we got any sort of resolution to that because that's when the film ends. Like it never really goes back to where we see her regaining some of that like attitude and confidence that made her a compelling character in the first film. And we don't get back to that. We just see her restart the sun
What
and
did
like,
she do?
oh, she's
She, like,
gone. Like,
flies
okay,
through it.
cool.
What was that? She flies through it and just restarts. I thought she was gonna like power it up or something. She's literally just
No idea.
She flies into it and then just like glows a lot, and then the sun starts glowing, and then she's able to leave.
I mean, part of me is glad that they
Not
didn't
to be
spend a lot of
confused.
time with it because that
Yeah.
would have just been a waste of time. Like, we
Not
get
to be
it. She's super
confused
powerful. Like, she doesn't know that she can do it. She does it.
with
Fine.
when Richard Madden's character Icarus flew into the sun at the end of Eternals.
Yeah,
By the way,
is
it's been
very
7 movies since Eternals, and not one person has acknowledged the giant celestial thing frozen into ice marble or whatever it is in the South Pacific.
just have a giant like dome like the Simpsons over there.
I read a theory, and I don't know how realistic this is now that Wolverine is going to be in Deadpool 2, and that's going to be our, introduction to getting him into the MCU. Or sorry, Deadpool 3 rather. And anyway, the theory was that adamantium is going to be found in that celestial. And I thought that would be really, really cool. But then I thought more about it and I thought, let's never acknowledge that again.
Yeah, don't
Because at this point, like, why bother?
just leave it there until
Yeah.
Galactus comes and he's like, oh my god, I want to eat that.
Yeah, maybe
It has to be,
Galactus.
like,
Maybe
the most,
Galactus
like,
comes as a no. Galactus comes as the storm cloud, like in Rise of the Silver Surfer, and is like, I need a body, and takes Tiamat's body.
No.
oh my gosh.
Um,
Like,
oh, I did realize. So going to the end of the film, they call, in the alternate universe that Monica gets stuck in. She meets her mom, pseudo mom,
Binary.
Binary. That is the name of Captain Marvel. She does restart a sun. I forgot this. She like unlocks her powers or whatever. I think she restarts a sun.
Oh, your name is Binary for binary.
But then they start calling her Binary.
Oh.
It's like ultra powerful. But I think they already skipped that step because she's ultra powerful in the first movie. I think they did the inhibitor chip and that was her reaching her full potential or whatever.
But
was
can
that
we talk
joke
about
or you-
the other most mind-blowing part of that mid-credit scene, which is Kelsey Grammer is back as Beast for the first time in 17 freaking years?
Yeah. Wait, what?
No,
Seven.
No.
9 years. 9 years. Days of Future Past at the end of the movie. Excuse me. But The Last Stand
A
is where
long
we first
time.
got Kelsey Grammer's Beast. What?
Pretty much.
I wonder if Patrick Stewart is going to be back again as Professor X.
I feel like it. I don't really care though. Like I saw him, and
Yeah.
oh, that's kind of cool. But at the same time, I don't give a shit anymore because they already had an alternate universe where Patrick Stewart was Professor X in the chair, and he just gets his head snapped, and then they bring him again. They're like, oh, let's tell Xavier. It's like.
It is
It's
a bit
obviously
like
Patrick Stewart again.
like Jamie Lee Curtis returning as Laurie Strode, not to be confused with the previous
Yeah.
time she returned as Laurie.
It's like, oh my god, Laurie's back. Oh my god, they killed Laurie Strode. Oh my god, she's back again. Oh my god, she's back again. He brought her back again. Oh my. Yeah.
I wanted, even before Multiverse of Madness, I wanted James McAvoy to be the MCU's Professor X. I thought he had earned that. I thought it was the logical choice. He had been in however many movies. They were going to go into the multiverse. I thought it was going to be James McAvoy. We got Patrick Stewart, Professor X.
Is more recognizable as Professor X.
I agree.
Admittedly, Multiverse of Madness was kind of like anti-fan service, so it's possible he is a variant, and it could still be James McAvoy.
I mean, with the multiverse, you can literally cast anybody.
True.
Sure.
And it wasn't anti-fan service. We got literally every fan service character we could have wanted on the Illuminati.
Yes, but then they immediately died violently.
That is true.
Which is like,
yeah. That was
But
my favorite part of the film.
I cannot tell you how glad I am that it was Kelsey Grammer as Beast and not Nicholas Hoult. Because I like Nicholas Hoult. He has given some fun performances over the years. I never liked him as Beast. I never liked him as Hank McCoy. If you were going to do something like this and, put Monica in a world of mutants, do that. And by the way, Ben and Declan, I texted Max this theory after I saw the movie. I thought of it on the way home from the gym last night. It's gotta happen. Ready? So Kamala Khan is going to recruit America Chavez to the Young Avengers. She's going to find out that America can travel the multiverse at will. And she's going to be like, let's go get Monica. They go to the other universe. And then Kamala's like, wait a minute. I'm a mutant. There are mutants here. Let me talk to the X-Men. That's how we get the X-Men.
I could see it.
What project is this going to happen in? Is my question.
Young Avengers, Disney Plus series. Next.
No, don't let George write this.
I mean,
Ben, I've
something that hasn't even,
the treatment.
something that hasn't even been announced yet, though. And like there's already
Yes.
so much stuff, and we're getting mutants before then. And we're
George is wearing a baseball.
I have more questions about the young
tribute to
Avengers.
Feige to like get more in his head.
What are they gonna do about Iron Lad? Hmm? That's Kang the Conqueror for you guys that don't know. It's Kang is a
Um, they're moving away from using Kang, I feel like.
yeah, I
Heard
know.
rumors to that effect.
Which
I've
is
seen
like
Because
rumors reported to that effect.
in 3 different versions of the character, Jonathan Majors, you know, who is not a good person. And, he's involved with all of this scandal and alleged assault, which is never okay. He has given 3 great performances, but it is the practical decision, it is the logical decision for Declan. Stop making that face, man. Come on.
Sorry.
It is the right thing to do for Marvel to move on from him. And if you can find a way to script an exit for Kang and his variants, which you kind of did in Quantumania by having him lose, you
Yeah.
kind of did in
But
Loki. Have we all
What
seen
I
Loki
mean,
season 2?
I dislike that idea. It's like you already set the groundwork for this. You just need to write it better. You need to do better things. But
Yeah, but are you
it's
going to keep Jonathan Majors?
no, but
And
what
I
you
don't
but,
want
but
to
what you
spend a
can
lot
you
of
don't need to
time
do
talking
that.
about
You don't need to do that
you
because
don't need to
we
keep
know that
Jonathan.
variants don't look like each other all the time.
Yeah,
So they
that's
can
my
just
point.
recast someone, but they can make it so that like I read something that was basically a suggestion where they take on the Nathaniel Richards line of the story and basically make them the like those variants of Kang be the dangerous ones that are coming in now. Because because of whatever happens in whatever, without getting into too many details.
The other
And that
option
they
is
just
to have the
recast
new
and like
actor
that's easy.
playing Kang literally recite Don Cheadle's introduction as Rhodey, like word for word to the camera, like whatever he says. It's like I'm here now. This is me. Like whatever he says, that's like a meta joke. Just have him say
I'm here,
exactly
it's me,
that.
let's move on. Admittedly, Iron Man 2 has a lot of flaws. Admittedly, that worked.
Yeah. Iron Man 2,
Also,
my gosh.
they
It's been
literally
so long
recast
since
the
I watched
Hulk.
Iron Man 2.
They recast the Hulk. Nobody said anything. They're not like, "Hey, Bruce, you look a little different." Nobody cared. And now you have variants too.
Yeah,
That
just
was it.
recast.
Yeah.
But
But
it
Just
just
like it
doesn't
it's
make
so easy.
sense. Like
They don't even have
recast
to.
Don Cheadle.
to lay all this groundwork for Kang and to not like finish it through is just going to collapse the MCU more than it already has. You have to rewrite everything. You have to replan everything. When you have the easiest option ever, which is just make a variant. You can even make the variant fucking Doctor Doom. Kang was Doctor Doom in his universe. So you can do whatever you want. It's a comic book movie. But you don't need to,
Yeah, with especially with
multiversal
multiverse.
implications. Like
You
you
can do
can
we're
whatever
gonna
do
have a
whatever you
different
want.
Mr. Fantastic. Like it doesn't matter, guys. Just recast and move on. You should have done
Pedro Pascal rumored to be Mr. Fantastic. We'll see if by the time we record next week's episode that's confirmed.
Hmm.
But back to the Marvels.
True.
I think, this being the shortest MCU movie yet,
Is it really?
yes, by about 9 minutes or so.
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 was north of 2 hours. I think the first Thor movie was $1.54, and I think that's the shortest one.
Until this one.
But, Guardians 3 was 2.5 hours. Quantumania was 2 and change. Wakanda Forever was 240. At this time last year. Marvel movies have never been short since Phase 1. I mean, the first Ant-Man movie was like 155, whatever. Marvel movies, my point is, have never been like you see a 90-minute comedy in a theater, like some of the movies we've done. We haven't had like a Marvel movie that feels as tight as this one. And you get right into the action. You're introduced to Darbin right away. And then we're seeing Kamala and Monica and Carol and Nick Fury and the family, and we're into the action in the first 10 minutes of the movie, and it carries on until there's 5 minutes left. Like, this film, surprisingly enough, is paced really well. The story, like we said earlier, feels like early Marvel. And Max, I'll echo something that you said. I don't want to say that the MCU is back because I don't think it is. But
baby,
for the first time since, I want to say, Spider-Man No Way Home almost 2 years ago, I've got that hope back. Just stop coming out with new projects like every month, because
Yeah,
we're already getting we're getting What If season 2 in a span of 9 days. They're doing an episode a day for 9 days in December, right up until the end of the year.
Why wouldn't you just release it, I don't know, weekly?
Weekly keeps the narrative going. That's why all of their other shows have at least gotten views. But we're getting Echo in January. And right now, Deadpool 3 is the only MCU movie scheduled for next year because of the strikes, because of COVID, whatever. We're in a spot where they don't have to release things every month to keep the narrative going about what's happening next in the MCU, what's going to happen. At this point, you're 35 movies in with a dozen TV shows. Take a breath.
Yeah, just make them good.
So many story threads.
Make things good.
You've got, you guys are going to love this. You've got the 10 Rings sending a beacon to nowhere. Who remembers that? You've got White Vision dipping at the end of WandaVision. Where did he go? You've got Hawkeye retiring. Now we've got Kate Bishop back, but you're setting up the Young Avengers. Sam and Bucky are still on that fucking boat. You've got all these story threads all over the place that you have set up post Endgame. Spider-Man doesn't have a fucking identity anymore. All of these different ideas have been introduced. By the way, Doctor Strange and Clea are off fixing incursions. Like, stop spreading out. Mm-hmm. And just what worked about the first 3 phases, and I get that the multiverse is bigger than just one story, but what worked about the first 3 phases is that it was one story building to a conclusion. You've got Secret Wars at the end of phase 6. Get there. Do not make it more complicated than it needs to be. How is Echo gonna feature into a battle against Kang?
No, you guys, I'll spoil why they're doing all this. Secret Wars is not versus Kang. It's just versus each other. So you
Kang Dynasty, bro. That happens first.
Yeah, but Kang wins. So he remakes the world. But the key thing for them is Secret Wars has people from like 2 universes fighting each other. I assume they're just going to take all the variants they can and just pit them against each other. But that means introducing as many as possible beforehand in order to do that, which means what we get: Young Avengers, everything, everybody and everyone. They wanted to take the Infinity or Endgame like entrance, how cool that was with everybody entering, all the different heroes, and they want to do better than that.
Just don't give me a CGI Nick Cage as Superman again. I can't take 2 of those in 5 years.
Pretty valid.
That
extremely valid.
I kind of hope they just like drop I hope the MCU drops Superman into one of their movies.
I think that's kind of why they're doing
it. Dropped Batman in Eternals.
True. They did do that. They did do that.
Yeah.
Like,
And Superman.
oh yeah,
Yes.
I think it was Superman, not Batman.
Yeah, both were mentioned. I feel like I remember that occurring.
oh yeah, and Hercules is gonna go kill Thor, who has a daughter now.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
He's
Are they
named-
actually having Thor be named Love and Thunder? Like, is that real? Like, are they actually doing that?
They already did.
Like,
and they're making
I
Thor
almost don't
5
believe it still.
with someone other than Taika Waititi.
Yeah,
Which
blame
I'm fine with it.
Taika fell off.
Yeah, what the
Well, I'm still gonna see Next Goal Wins because I love Michael Fassbender.
Mm.
That's fine.
The Marvels is currently playing in movie theaters. We all enjoyed it, probably more than we all expected.
Really? True.
So go check it out. The MCU is not over, which I did not expect to say on this episode when I went into the theater yesterday. But it's going to keep plugging along.
Reactionary.
Doing it. We are back next week with another new episode. Have a good night,
night.
everyone.
Good night.
Yeah.